All right, and like I said, we do have some subtitles enabled, so please make sure you go down to the bottom to click that to see them. And then I'm going to go ahead and introduce Danielle. So Danielle was here for our first session on the 29th of October, which was incredible. So I'm excited that she's back again. So Danielle Mkali has dedicated her career to building community cooperatives to create community wealth building opportunities with Black people. As a senior director with the Nexus Community Partners, she leads a trust fund that redistributes $50 million to the Black communities in Minnesota, North and South Dakota. She has also co-founded and led the North Star Black Cooperative Fellowship, connecting participants with the rich history of cooperative economics in the Black community, while receiving technical skills and supports for emerging cooperative business ideas. She was an organizer of a national campaign to expand low power FM radio and helped found KRSM, a low power FM radio station based out of the Phillips neighborhood in South Minneapolis. She chairs the Partnership and Property Commercial Land Trust Board and is a board member for the Collective Diaspora. So just a reintroduction and welcome back, Danielle, and the floor is yours, and I will give you co-hosting duties.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. That was such a lovely meditation and those first questions. I'm feeling good. See if I can get my slides ready. Let's see here. All right, so today we're gonna have some fun talking about Black feminisms and intersectionality in Black cooperative economics. I'm really happy to be here with you all this morning to have this conversation. This is Black feminisms are definitely like my favorite place to one of my favorite things to talk about in terms of cooperatives and in so many other areas of my life. So happy to be here again with North Star. We have about 90 minutes together. We'll take a break. We just want to invite you all to take care of yourselves in this space together. I think a lot of you already had added your pronouns and what you'd like to be called. Inviting you to join with audio and video if you like. I know that for many of us, we're tired of being in virtual spaces, and so I understand also if that's not comfortable for you. If you could put an asterisk in front of your name, then I'll know that it's okay for me to call on you. And that would be helpful for me. Or you can just tell me. We're kind of a small group today too, so that works as well. So today we'll do this little welcome and opening session, and then we'll move into our first activity, kind of putting together why North Star Black Cooperative Fellowship cares about Black feminisms. We'll take a short break after that. And after we return, we'll dig into Harriet Tubman and the Combahee River. And then we'll look at the Combahee River Collective and who they are, and have space for some reflection in there. We'll use breakouts and reflection periods throughout the workshop today too. For my own sake, as I'm getting to know all of you, I hope I get to know you more throughout your fellowship. If you could also introduce yourselves to me and let me know like which cooperative group you're a part of and what you're working on, that would be really helpful for me. Anyone want to start?
I'm assuming that silence is an invitation. What's up, y'all? My name is Lane. I use they, them pronouns. I'm part of the Farm Called Home collective, cooperative. I don't know how we want to end that yet. And we're working on providing land access and some housing stabilization for Black and Indigenous farmers or future farmers.
And I'm Jai. I use they, them pronouns, and I'm also part of the Farm Called Home. Yeah.
And is the work, where are you based?
We're based in Minneapolis.
Currently.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Hey Danielle, it's Yanti here representing for Voice of Culture, House of Culture. As you may know, based in Minneapolis, currently trying to make things move as they've always moved, but currently looking to get a brick and mortar space, hopefully in Minneapolis as well. Good to see you.
Good to be here with you, Yancy.
Hey, good morning.
Everyone.
Oh, sorry. Did you
Oh,
want
go
to
ahead, Janelle.
Okay. My name is Chanel. My cooperator, Mujahid, and I are part of Cultural Crops Co-op based in Georgia. I'm in Las Vegas right now. Part of the work that we're doing is stewarding 20 acres of land in Georgia. And ultimately, we like to put our land in a trust so that successive stewardship of our land can be set for our progeny and for our community. And we're trying to model land-based livelihoods in a cooperative fashion. And we're happy to be here with you guys.
Thank you. Thanks, Tanil.
Peace, everybody. My name is Jahan Thomas. My pronouns are she and her. I am representing the Boston Black Market and Enrichment Center in Philadelphia, specifically North Philadelphia. And we are in an arts enrichment center, community, everything space. And we use arts for a lot of entryways for radical spatial building and just community gathering.
Thanks, Jahan. Any other cooperatives, folks, want to say hello, introduce yourself?
Hi, y'all.
Good morning. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, okay. My name is Mo. I use they, them pronouns. Can you hear me?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah, I use they, them pronouns. I'm based in Minneapolis and I'm a part of a farm called Home. Very, very happy to be here. Sad I missed the first one, but I did have a chance to catch up and watch the recording. So I'm excited. I'm ready to work.
All right. Good morning, Mo.
Hey y'all, I'm Cal. I use they, them pronouns. I'm also based in Minneapolis and also a part of Farm Called Home. And I think Lane did a great job of summarizing that we are working towards providing land access and housing stabilization and support for Black and Indigenous farmers and future farmers, as well as sharing skills and knowledge with each other.
Thanks, Cal.
I'm Mujahid. I'm with Cultural Crops Cooperative, Georgia-based, as my cooperator mentioned earlier. Part of our objective, as stated earlier, was putting the land in a community land trust, and we're stewarding this land full time, and we're imperfectly doing this work. So I'm happy to be here with you all.
My name is Mari, and I use they, them, and she, her pronouns. I'm also with a farm called Home. Good morning, Danielle. Nice to see you again.
Good morning, Marie.
Good morning. My name's Olivia. I'm part of the Lupine Collective. And our objective is to respond to the crisis of capitalism with some respite care for short-term and long-term housing for those of us who are going through trauma and dealing with trauma. And we're interested in establishing a tiny home community in rural Minnesota.
Good morning, Olivia. Thank you. Just hearing Olivia talk about what they're trying to accomplish made my own nervous system feel like more relaxed. Just the thought of having that space for ourselves and for community is a nice vision. Did everyone get a chance to share and speak that they'd like, that wanted to? Okay, I'll take that as a yeah. Oops. No. 1 second. I don't know where everything just went. Just do it this way. Okay, we're back. So the outcome of today's workshop, I hope, is that you all will have a chance to recognize how and why the Black cooperative movement has and continues to be shaped and created by Black feminists, that Black cooperative efforts continue to be informed by Black feminisms, and that helps our movement to be more intersectional and spaces where we can practically work for our collective liberation. I think I heard Mujahiz mention that they are imperfectly doing that work of stewarding the land. And I just want to kind of invite this idea that imperfection is how we get most everything done, right? And that even as we're engaging with Black feminisms, each of us may be in different spaces in terms of our learning around those things or our learnings around intersectionality, but that North Star, using the care by facilitators and the leaders like Nkuli, is a place where we get to practice this work so that we can show up in our work better. I want us to get started today by just kind of reflecting on our own connection with Black feminisms. So I've got 3 questions here. Question 1 is about what are your earliest memories of being aware of Black feminisms? And I use the word feminisms because it's dynamic and it can be different for a lot of folks in terms of how they engage, think about themselves as Black feminists. Hopefully it's something that you're growing in and learning about. So question 1 is earliest memories of being aware of Black feminisms. Question 2 is around what messages about Black feminisms did you receive from the media? And then question 3 is about what messages about Black feminisms did you receive from your cultures? And I just want to invite you all to reflect on your own for about 4 minutes on this. Let me check the chat. I can't check the chat. All right, so we'll do this until about 10:51. What was coming up for folks? And could you hear the music? Okay, good to know. I'm over here vibing alone. Any of the questions kind of spark memories or thoughts about this? Yeah. Lane's nodding.
I'd
Olivia.
like to share, yeah, some of my like early memories. It made me think about my grandma and her sisters and how they would kind of like talk about what needs to be done in a way that I like didn't really experience in other spaces. Like just the things that they would mention, like this needs to be done. How can we do it? And I was like, oh yeah, that does need to be done. Like it's not something that I guess I was like hearing in other spaces, like that kind of language. Like that's my first sort of memory about having the language of like taking care of each other, and in like a particular way that, like in my experience, that Black women were conceptualizing. So that was cool to just like remember. I haven't thought about that.
Anyone else?
I'd like to share.
What kind of came up for me was I don't remember what brought up the conversation, but at some point when I was in like 4th or 5th grade, just sort of trying to process like racism from some of my peers with some of my siblings, and they were like really angry, but rather than just be angry, they connected me to understanding about folks like Angela Davis and Asada Shakur and other like sort of movement folks or organizing folks. And yeah, I don't know.
Thank you for that. Later on today, we'll be looking at the Combahee River Collective, and something that the founders of that group talked about was that kind of before they all got together and kind of named what they were experiencing and what they were feeling, that they often felt crazy in spaces, and how just being able to have language for things and understand that other people are having these experiences as well, and kind of locating where they're all at can really help us understand that no, we're understanding perfectly what's happening and we're having a pretty normal response to those things. Sarita shared my memories of my older sister reading and studying revolutionary texts. As a young person, I admired her and felt inspired by her passion. Nice. The media question was like almost kind of like a trick question a little bit, because I was like, has anyone heard about Black feminisms like in any kind of like mainstream media? Like it mentioned in my bio, like I love listening to the radio and like local and community radio. So sometimes I'll hear stuff on there, but it's not a super popular topic, I would not say. Well, thank you all for engaging in that conversation. Let's see here. So why does North Star, why is our political orientation kind of founded in Black feminism? I think a big piece of it is that cooperatives themselves, and in particular Black cooperatives, are not only a specific type of like a business formation or a business strategy, but cooperative economics always for us have been work to change, or I shouldn't say always, most of the time when Black folks are doing Black cooperative economics, we're doing it to take care of ourselves and to change and solve for social problems. This is a photo of the Freedom Quilting Bee, a Black-owned textile cooperative born in the civil rights movement as a way for people without a lot of money, Black craftswomen in Alabama, Black Belt, to earn money for their families. So North Star, as I was saying before, kind of in the, what I'm hoping you all will get out of this workshop, and to lift up that the fellowship is a space for learning and practicing intersectionality to become better at understanding how to create spaces for collective liberation and the cooperatives that we're forming. It might be easier for us to sometimes do things on our own and in isolation, but it certainly is far less powerful and impactful when we're working alone and in isolation and isn't creating those systems changes that I think most of us want to see happen. This is a photo by Clifford Prince King, and it's in the Los Angeles County Museum of Art. Throughout our Black freedom movements, many of the most significant leaders have always used economic cooperation to provide for both the material needs of their communities and as a political strategy. I'm gonna walk through a few of these Black feminist leaders this morning and give you an opportunity to kind of make some of these connections between their own lived experiences as, I think in this case, most of the ones that I'm bringing up are all identified as Black women, but and how that intersection and how cooperatives have always been a part of this work. This is a quote from Fannie Lou Hamer: "When you got 400 quarts of greens and gumbo soup canned for the winter, nobody can push you around or tell you what to say or do." Black feminism is an intellectual, artistic, philosophical, and activist practice grounded in Black women, femmes, and non-binary people's lived experiences. Its scope is very broad, sometimes making it difficult to define. In fact, the diversity of opinion among Black feminists makes it more accurate to think of Black feminisms in the plural. Folks recognize these people? Want to give a shout out? Got Miss
Upper right, Fannie Lou Hamer.
Yeah. How about this person here? People recognize them? Her?
That's Polly Murray.
Polly Murray. How about this person here? Charlene Carruthers. And then, of course, as I refer to her, the God, Toni Morrison. And even with these four folks, there's just a very diverse view of what Black feminism might have been, is, or how it's all practiced. Black feminist leaders built the cooperative movement and also articulated the need for intersectionality. A lot of the people that I'm going to we'll be talking about and studying and learning about together this morning, were doing this work probably long before these terms were really mainstream or maybe even brought up at all. But I see the way that they do their work very much so as Black feminist work, and the way that they did the work, practicing intersectionality throughout that. Nikuli, if you want to pay attention to the chat and let me know if things are coming up, but I can't do both.
Yeah, there's one that just came up from Tennille. She says, over and over, what's coming to mind for me in this conversation is the value of fictive kinship ties and how that ties into cooperative practice. We've created intimate and personal relationships with each other, regardless of blood relationships, in an effort to care for each other, especially in instances where our blood relatives aren't offering the needed support. Just a thought in the middle of all of this.
I like that, Tennille. Thank you. I want to get started with talking about Ida B. Wells. A lot of folks don't know that she had ties to cooperative efforts. One which was, you know, an experience with the cooperative grocery, kind of propelled her move into her journalism work, and her efforts in the anti-lynching campaigns that she led. She had a good friend named Thomas Moss that was a cooperative owner of the People's Grocery in a neighborhood outside of Memphis, in a neighborhood called The Curve. And this grocery, the People's Grocery, was a really successful Black cooperatively owned grocery store. In fact, it was so successful that it was threatening to the white grocer in town. And there was a fight outside of the People's Grocery with two of the workers that were there. And two folks from the grocery store were arrested and put in jail. And the police actually deputized white folks in that town. Deputized just means that they were allowing regular white folks to use their weapons and things like that. And those men were killed and lynched in that mob. And because of this, and the murder of her friend, and because of, you know, the lynchings that were happening overall, she was really motivated to begin her anti-lynching campaign. And of course, many of you may know, have heard of that already, but she was also one of the 60 folks that helped found the National Association for Colored People. And she was a founder of the National Association of the Colored Women's Club. And then in 1913, she founded what was maybe the first Black women's suffrage group in Chicago. And I think it's really interesting in this piece that she distanced herself from the NAACP at some point because of its white and elite Black leadership. And along with the fact that she felt the group lacked action-based initiatives. So just want to lift up that idea that she was paying attention to many different things as she was a part of these different places that she helped to create, and had a class analysis, and really wanted her work to be centered on, you know, moving forward, efforts and actions that would take care of and engage Black folks that had less and less access to resources than her. I see a lot in the chat. Do I need to pause?
There are some responses from Tennille saying that last sentence resonate, fire emoji. Yancy agreeing right. And then Tennille coming back saying Miss Ida Wells, Ida was like, is we freeing the people or not?
Right, exactly. Who is this for? Fannie Lou Hamer. I will say that everyone, there's a book by Dr. Keisha Blaine that came out, and I don't know, she deserves all the books, but maybe go read that book. There's so much that we could say about Fannie Lou Hamer, but she was a cooperative leader as well. She founded the Freedom Farm Cooperative with a donation from some folks. And Fannie Lou Hamer, as some of you probably know, was a sharecropper. And so her experiences growing up were farming, doing really, really hard work, and got involved in different political efforts. You know, some of you may have heard the story about when she was registering to vote, and the owner of the land that she was farming threatened her around that registration. You may not know that she was assaulted when she was in police custody more than once. And so she survived police brutality and police assaults more than one time. And that she was a survivor of forced sterilization as well. So throughout all of her movement work, her cooperative farm work, She was always, she was extremely brilliant in the way that I think like what Ida Wells was talking about, she really centered who is this work for? So, you know, the Freedom Farm Cooperative bought land and then eventually also started buying hogs. And so giving people an opportunity to buy a hog and then raise hogs and then return hogs to share hogs with more people in the community, kind of like the Heifer Project, if you all have heard of that. And she was always canning food. So that quote I shared earlier about the gumbo soup is accurate. She was always had like a garage full of food. She knew that her heart was with the people in terms of if they needed food, if they needed to be fed, she was going to figure out a way to make that happen. And she was also going to invite them to be a part of changing their conditions, whether it was through political actions or organizing through the cooperative as well. I appreciate her so much because she seemed to really be able to significantly always value both like the immediate material needs and then offering up opportunities for us to kind of engage in this longer term political vision around making long-term shifts for those in those systems. Is there stuff in the chat that was coming up around Mrs. Fannie Lou Hamer?
Nothing in the chat yet.
Okay. Thanks. Feel free to just stop me if there is. So Ella Jo Baker, AKA Fundi, she helped found the Young Negroes. She's the executive director of the Young Negroes Cooperative League in the 1930s. And this was a space to gather a local coalition of cooperatives and buying clubs to gain economic power through consumers' cooperation. She, in the book Collective Courage, which I think you all got, this information is really all from there, talking about how Dr. Gordon Emhart makes the argument that Ella Baker's initial engagement and leadership of this Young Negroes Cooperative League and the work of forming these cooperatives was really fundamental to helping to form Ella Baker's political lens and how you do organizing and how you create change. So this quote from Ella Baker is just that the process of setting up co-ops, establishing common priorities for those involved, solidifying democratic methods of decision-making and building communications networks encourage people at the grassroots to engage in social change and transformation, changing themselves, each other, and the world around them simultaneously. And then much later, 30 years later, Ella Baker was really fundamental with working with the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee, which many of you probably already know a lot of this history, but you know that at that point, you know, you had the Southern Christian Leadership Council, like Dr. King, you had NAACP, things like that. And a lot of these spaces were not welcoming spaces for young people at that time. And there was a lot of frustration around those things. And so Ella Baker was a key adult ally or older folk ally in encouraging young people to create the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee. And in those spaces, Baker provided a lot of consultation and help getting the young people to get those spaces organized and understanding movement and politics and things like that. And Baker encouraged the young people in SNCC to struggle against tendencies toward elitism and male domination. And I just want to point out that Ella Baker was inducted into the National Cooperative Hall of Fame just last month, they created a new award called the Unsung Cooperative Hero. And so just want to acknowledge that she is being recognized for her efforts through cooperativism. I've been talking a lot. I'm hoping that I've got another set of 3 questions for you all. And before I do that, I wanted to point out this picture too. There's a lot of great pictures of Fannie Lou and Ella Baker together. And this is one that I really love too. You can see Stokely back here too. And I'm not sure who this is, but I know it's someone we should know who it is, but I can't name all the other folks. So the questions are, who does it serve to keep Black feminism and cooperatives hidden or the history untold? And then question 2 is, how might our collective situation be different today if Black feminism and cooperatives were widely understood? Question 3, are you inspired by these women's cooperative efforts? What does their work in co-ops tell us about the connection between Black feminism and cooperative efforts? If folks want to take just a few minutes to respond to these questions on your own, and then we're going to move you into breakout rooms, I think in groups of, I'm not sure what will work, but like 2 or 3. Nikulia, maybe you can help me do that. But for now, you can do reflection on your own.
Down here in the bottom, there ain't no room for me. I don't wanna make no babies. I don't need a man to save me. Secondhand loneliness pass on over me. Yeah, I might wanna make some babies. Running out of time for waiting. Freedom and triumph, they weren't meant for me. Girls of my color, find something else to be. I'm better, I'm better, I'm better, I'm better, I'm better, I'm better. I'm better, I'm better, I'm better, I'm better, I'm better, I'm better. I'm better, I'm better, I'm better, I'm better, I'm better, I'm better. I'm better, I'm better, I'm better, I'm better, I'm better, I'm better. Up here in the bottom, you linger over me. I got all this space to fill, something only bodies here. Promiscuous holiness, slope is slippery. I got all this time to kill, something like a prayer to kneel to. Lay on my pillow, you think I'm so weak. Soft as my skin is, my power's discreet. I'm better, I'm better, I'm better, I'm better, I'm better, I'm better. I'm better, I'm better, I'm better, I'm better, I'm better, I'm better. I'm better, I'm better, I'm better, I'm better, I'm better, I'm better. I'm better, I'm better, I'm better, left me so thick with birds. You met me in the dirt. Sick at first, but haven't I learned? I'm not sorry that I cut you out. I'm not having I can't be sorry that I cut you out, or it's haven't I haven't I'm not sorry that I cut you out. I'm not sorry. Can't be sorry that I.
Could you hear music that time?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Nikuli's going to help us get into some breakout rooms so that you can discuss in pairs or small groups these questions.
All right, moving everyone right now.
Thanks, Nikuli.
This meeting is being recorded.
How was that, folks?
In the breakout session I was just in, right at the very end, someone said something quite valuable in my opinion. And it was like wishing we had more time in these sessions to have these discussions. Some feel somewhat like sprinting through it. So I kind of second that that feeling.
Mm-hmm. Thank you for that. I will slow this way down for next time.
In the conversation I was in with Mo Hansen, we both kind of paused a little at the first question: who does it serve to keep Black feminism and cooperatives hidden, or the history untold? And our hesitation with that question was kind of like preaching to the choir kind of thing, because we all know like directly who that serves, what institutions, what framework it serves, namely white supremacy and capitalism. And so while it's good, I think the point of that question was just to name that, or at least that's the understanding we were both getting from that. But also because so many of us are here due to our understandings of and our alignment with anti-capitalism, and in a way to unravel the threads of white supremacy, we kind of already, we got the answer to that question, and we working through it in real time. That's part of why we're here.
That's how I was feeling too, Tennille. And then as you were speaking, it was like coming to me that like, it doesn't actually serve anyone. You know, like, yes, at face value, it's serving white supremacy and capitalism. But I'm thinking now, I'm like, who does it really, it doesn't really serve anybody. Because they might be rich and at the top, but the world is still hurting, you know, Mother Nature is still lacking many things that were holding it together and that have been released into the atmosphere and into the air, into the water. So yeah.
Mhm. I hear that. Thank you, Sunil and Mari. Okay. With that, we'll take a short break. So if you all could be back at 11:39, that would be wonderful.
Good morning, sunshine. Planted somewhere new. Time cannot rewind the place from which you grew. Reminisce the sunny days. I might try to run away. Like sitting in the sweetest game. I just might fly away. Your roots be golden. Your new springs forth. All that was stolen now can be reborn. Reminisce the sunny days. I might try to run away. Like sitting in the sweetest game. I just might fly away. Village women, tribal children, native language, something's missing. Tripping spirit, no religion. This is what we teach our children. The chapters we don't know, there's no ink to fill them. The visions of the soul need Stevie to see them. Don't know. and grace. Welcome joy, satisfaction, pleasure and strain. Welcome essence, beauty, presence, time, spirit, form and space. Welcome excellence in every blessing, sacred and praise. What I seek, I have. What I wanna know, I understand. All I wish I could, I can. Who I wanna be, I am. What I seek, I have. What I wanna know, I understand. All I wish I could, I can. Who I wanna be, I am. Welcome magic and wonder, brilliance and grace. Welcome joy, satisfaction, pleasure and strain. Welcome essence, beauty, presence, time, spirit, form and space. Welcome excellence in every blessing, sacred and praise. What I seek, I have. What I wanna know, I understand. All I wish I could, I can. What I wanna be, I am. What I seek, I have. What I wanna know, I understand. All I wish I could, I can. Who I wanna be, I am. I am the seed, I am the tree. I am the flower, I am the bee. I am fire and I am wind. I accept love and also I give. I am loud and I am mighty. I am silent and I tread lightly. I am brave and monumental. I am modest, I am gentle. I am student and I teach. I am the sand and I am the beach. I am ease and I am power. I am bridge and I am tower. I am peace and I am wild. I am mother, I am child. I am many, I am few. I am God and God is you. What I seek, I have. What I wanna know, I understand. All I wish I could, I can. Who I wanna be, I am. What I seek, I have. What I wanna know, I understand. All I wish I could, I can. Who I wanna be, I am. Whole world's broke, ain't worth fixing. It's time to start all over, make a new beginning. It's too much pain, too much suffering.
Welcome back. The chat has some great discussion happening around those questions. And another nudge to me as I plan to do this kind of workshop again, that definitely will slow it down to give more space and room for folks to be able to have these discussions more deeply and spend more time with things. But I appreciate that you all were taking the opportunity to share things in the chat as well. We have about 20 minutes left. And I want to, I'm holding this tension that we need to slow things down. And also I like try to do way too much for our 90 minutes together. We're gonna just kind of real quickly move through Harriet Tubman and the Combahee River, and then move into this Combahee River Collective and give you all a chance to kind of discuss some prompts that I have around that. So thanks for your patience with that today. I'm gonna pull up my slides in just a second. I had to get Serena in there on a break. So Harriet Tubman, as many of us know, abolitionist, general, spy, healer, prophet, teacher, sister, dreamer, mother, aunt, friend. Born in Maryland's Dorchester County around 1820 and died in Auburn, New York, March 10th, 1913. Frederick Douglass said that, excepting John Brown of sacred memory, I know of no one who has willingly encountered more perils and hardships to serve our enslaved people than Harriet Tubman. There's dispute about how many folks. It's believed she made at least between 13 and 19 trips to the enslaved territories, freeing at least 70 people. Some people have said hundreds. So I just want to acknowledge that. The Combahee Ferry Raid really comes into the place where Tubman was working as a spy, working with the Union Army. And she went with and led 150 African-American Union soldiers who rescued more than 700 slaves in the Combahee Ferry Raid during the Civil War. So you can see Charleston, North Carolina up here. If folks are trying to figure out where the heck this all happened, that gives you a better sense of that. Dr. Sister Alexis Pauline Gumbs has done a lot of workshops and meditations around Harriet Tubman, and also lifting up the Combahee Ferry Raid. And she refers to freedom, that it's not a secret, it's a practice. We're going to move into the Combahee River Collective, fast forwarding from 1890s to 1977. This collective comprised of Beverly Smith and Barbara Smith, who were sisters. and the primary authors of the Combahee River Collective Statement in '77. And they articulated the concept of multiple oppressions, critiquing both sexual oppression in the Black community and racism within the wider feminist movement. I'm gonna pause my share and I'm gonna reshare. Let me know if you're not hearing this. Oh wait, this is not the one I wanted anyways. Let me try this again.
If you could talk about who the Combahee River Collective is, and we'll do a post-show after this because we have to go longer than we have time for. But the whole issue of this radical women's collective really coining the term identity politics, taking on the issue of intersectionality, and this was 40 years ago.
So the Combahee River Collective was a group of Black radical feminists that formed in 1974 that considered themselves to be a left split from a organization called the National Black Feminist Organization, which I think they would characterize as certainly to the left of mainstream white feminism, feminist organizations, but still not far enough to the left in terms of the Combahee's focus on linking women's oppression to capitalism and linking the Black women's oppression to capitalism, but also more importantly, I think, or of equal importance, is seeing that the liberation of Black women was connected to a radical reconstruction of American society. And so the group formed in 1974 and really was active around issues of abortion rights, reproductive freedom, including campaigning against sterilization, taking up the struggle against domestic violence and against violence against women. They were based in Boston, and during this time there was really a spate of violent attacks against Black women. Black women were being killed in cases that were going unresolved. And this really shaped the political world that they were active in. In 1977, they produced a document that is really foundational in the politics of radical Black feminism, called the Combahee River Collective Statement, which really both theorized aspects of Black women's oppression, but also connected that to strategies that they believed would be central to ending it, both in terms of how to link the struggles that Black women faced to the struggles of other oppressed people, which they called coalition building, but also the need to have transformative, revolutionary, radical politics. And so I think that, this is the 40th anniversary, or last year, 2017, was the 40th anniversary of the publication of the statement. And part of my motivation for doing this book, which is a republication of the statement itself, and interviews with the three authors of the statement, was to really try to introduce both the politics and the practice and really the lives and experiences of these women to a new generation of activists.
We just have 20 seconds, but what would you say their message is to them today?
I think their message for them today is that it's not enough just to identify the ways that Black women are oppressed, but that it is important to synthesize that analysis with a plan of action. It is important to act because that is the only way that Black women will get free.
I want to thank you so much for being with us, and we're going to do part 2 of this discussion, posted online at Democracy. We'll be broadcasting from the Center.
Just getting my stuff back together. How familiar were folks with the Combahee River Collective? Some of you are, some of you weren't. Let's take a couple minutes and just read through. This is just an excerpt of their statement that they came up with. Who would like to go first and read the first line?
I can read the first line.
Thank you.
We realize that the liberation of all oppressed peoples necessities the destruction of the political economic systems of capitalism and imperialism as well as patriarchy. You want me to keep going?
Sure.
We are socialists because we believe that work must be organized for the collective benefit of those who do the work and create the products and not for the profit of the bosses. Material resources must be equally distributed among those who create these resources. We are not convinced, however, that a socialist revolution that is not also a feminist and anti-racist revolution will guarantee our liberation. We have arrived at the necessity for developing an understanding of class relationships that takes into account the specific class position of Black women who are generally marginal in the labor force. While at this particular time, some of us are temporarily viewed as doubly desirable tokens of white collar and professional levels, we need to articulate the real class situation of persons who are not merely raceless, sexless workers, but for whom racial and sexual oppression are significant determinants in their working economic lives. Although we are in essential agreement with the Marxist theory as it applied to the very specific economic relationships he analyzed, we know that his analysis must be extended further in order for us to understand our specific economic situation as Black women.
Folks have initial reactions to this. Thank you, Kita. And I'll share with you all in a follow-up document, like a full link to the full collective statement as well, and a link to Dr. Kianga Yamada's book too, which is great. People read this before, or people have any kind of thoughts about this?
I just really had an addition to one of the sentences. If you can go back to the slide.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So I saw the slide that says, material resources must be equally distributed among those who create these resources. Yes, I guess I didn't have anything else to add. I was mostly thinking that those resources cannot be distributed by those who are hoarding them right now. That would just be detriment to us if they were in charge of how the resources were distributed. That was the only addition I have, but it seems to be there already.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. We're at 11:54. I think we'll maybe skip going into small groups, but was wondering how people would feel about going maybe just a few minutes after 12. Is that okay, Nakuli?
Yeah, if we go over a few minutes, we'll still have like the 45-minute break, so that's okay. If everyone else is okay with that too. I'm seeing thumbs up. Thanks, Mujahid. Thanks, Olivia. Okay. Sarita, cool. Thank you. Thank you. Cool. See the thumbs up. Thank you.
Great. And I think we'll continue to stay in this large group, but these are a few questions that I had for you all to think about and reflect on, about who we're accountable to, and who is your co-op accountable to, and how can you tell you're being accountable to them? And then the last question was that the Combahee River Collective was inspired by the raid on the Combahee Ferry. What political action or actions has inspired or could inspire your own co-ops? What do you all think?
Can I share something that actually you mentioned and has always stuck by me?
Mhm.
You know, one of the things that you've said, you've shared is that if you know, after going to work, if you come home and all the grandmas and mamas are sitting on the porch and they ask you like how your day went, how was work, and you're able to answer in like a very truthful, loving way. And I might not be saying this correctly, but this is how I interpreted it. But able to answer in like a loving way, being like, yes, this is what I did today. This is the work that I did. Then for me, like that felt like a form of accountability, being able to like answer to those that have held us, loved us. Yeah, I think I imagine that every time, even too with North Star and Nexus, like if I'm able to at the end of the day be like, this is what I did and I'm proud of it, and what I did didn't contributes to like harm in this way, then like I'm good with that. I feel good, and that for me is like a form of accountability. So I feel like that comes up too in a way.
Mm-hmm. Also want to just open it up if there's any other, reflections and things that have been on your mind or on your heart throughout the last hour and a half together. Feel free to bring those things up now too. Well, maybe we don't need to go over. I do think it's important as you all are building up your cooperatives, and maybe you already, maybe this feels like work that you've already done, but I do think it's important to be able to name who are the different people that you are accountable to and how can you be accountable to them. I think I heard this quote about like, I forget, I'm not sure who said it first or whatever, but just kind of like, you can't force someone to be accountable. There's like our punitive systems that try to punish people after they've done something wrong. And that is what it is. But I think as folks that are like building these spaces, building these cooperatives, living into being accountable to what it is that we say that we're going to do, or to each other in these cooperative spaces is a practice and a value that isn't necessarily easy, but it's definitely super important for creating healthy spaces.
There's some responses in the chat. From Lane, this content has been quick and heavy. My mind is spinning, to be honest. And from Tennille, I need processing time with these questions, the last one in particular. And from Sarita, I just need more time with these questions as well. So hearing the call for some time to process.
Okay. I appreciate all of that. And I hope that you all have some room and space and time to be able to practice these things, or maybe do some breathing and some other ways to feel more grounded, because it is heavy content. And just want you all to know that I really heard you, and will definitely create more spaciousness the next time I bring this content to a group. So thank you for that. And these are things, these questions too, can be questions that you don't necessarily feel like you have to answer right now. Some questions for me are just questions that I know I walk with for a long time. And they can be things that your cooperative is walking with as well. But that you don't necessarily need to come up with an answer right now. But thank you all so much for being here. And I hope that throughout our time together today, that you were able to see how Black feminism and intersectionality is woven into Black cooperative spaces, and how we get our work done, and how we will continue to get our work done. So thank you so much for being here.
Thank you. And there's a message from Yancy too saying, I've been writing a bunch, and thank you, Danielle. And I just want to say, yeah, thank you to you, Danielle, for being in the space and holding the space for us this morning. I definitely hear the heaviness, but also like the richness of all of this. And so, yeah, thank you for your presence, your time, and this presentation.
My pleasure, really. Thank you.
All right, everyone, please, I invite you, we'll be going into a 45-minute break, so we'll come back at like 12:47 if my math is correct. So please take the time to take care of yourself, in whatever way that means. The Zoom space will still be open, but if you'd like to hop off and come back at 12:47, that's fine too. So yeah, just take some breaths. Take some time, roll on the floor if that's what you want, do some stretches, and we'll come back at 12, well, now it's 12:48. It's at 12:48, and I'll put that in the chat. Thank you all. All right, welcome back. If you are back, may you please give a thumbs up, say what's up in the chat. Thank you. Cool. All right. All right, y'all. All right. I know we've had a heavy morning. Yeah, and I just want to say that I definitely feel that and hear that too. But also an informative morning. I'm always happy to have Danielle in this space. So we're gonna transition now into revisiting our group agreements from last week. And let me just pull those up. So one of the things that was asked for in the evaluation was a chance to play around and maybe respond in different ways, maybe using Jamboard. So that's what we have. We have a Jamboard with the group agreements. Cool. And I'm also gonna put them in the chat. So there they are, and screen share. Here they are too. I was doing this on the iPad during the break because my laptop was sharing, so the purple wall does not look like how I thought it would look, but it's fine. We work with what we have. So these are some of the group agreements we talked about last week. And so I'm gonna invite folks. I'll put everyone in groups just so we have some more time to talk together too, to kind of like look at the group agreements too. I don't know if Lane is here. Oh, Lane there. I believe the discussion, not a debate, was one of your offerings last time we met. Okay, cool. I see some head nods and some thumbs up. Great. So that's been added in there. So I just want you to like take some time to interact with the group agreements. There's some there's some stickers if you like it. If you don't like it, there's a sad face with some X's. We'll just take about, what time is it? Until 1 p.m. to do that. And if you have any other group agreements that you wanted to add, like now would be the time to do that. I just wanted to just give folks some time to engage with this in a different way. And just some housekeeping for Jamboard. You can interact with this in many ways, and I know I have not interacted with it in all the ways yet, but you can add some post-it notes using the sticky note feature. You can erase stuff. You can use a pen to like write stuff or add some text. You can also look up images on Google or look up images from your own computer. So there's ways you can upload images, Google Photos, if you have photos in Google Drive that you want to add. So yeah, it's up to you how you want to interact with it. But yeah, just taking some time to go through these again so we can solidify them and have them for our time together until May. I'm gonna put everyone in groups. I'm gonna stop sharing so I can see. I'm gonna put everyone in groups until 1 p.m. And if you have nothing to add, that's fine too. But just wanted to give the opportunity to have space to play around with them. And I think we'll do 3 groups. So, all right, we'll come back at 1 p.m.
Is being recorded.
All right, we're just waiting for everyone else to come back. Welcome back, all. Are there any new additions to the group agreements? Anything that needs to be taken out, amended? And I realized I probably didn't give enough time again, so I'm sorry. Time has definitely been interesting today. But yeah, is there anything else that needs to be switched around? No? Okay.
We weren't able to edit the Jamboard or react to anything,
Oh no. Okay.
but our group did add our addition in the chat.
Okay.
Jihan.
Okay, I am sorry about that, and thank you. Oh, can you copy it and repaste it in this chat? I'm sorry about that. Okay,
Yeah,
that's
you
good.
can see like a lot of our requests for access.
Let's see, okay. I thought I like gave a shared link to a viewer, not an editor. Okay, I see what I did. Okay. Sorry about that, everyone, but a marination. Group thought about marination and digestion as an action to consider in a process around critical. Jihan, may you please say a little more about that?
Sure. Peace, everyone. No, we were just really just sitting in our thoughts. We were just really sitting in like how some of the questions and prompts were just making us feel. And we were just thinking about how accountability could look like us having sessions in between sessions to just talk out loud. But that also sums it up when it said in the Jamboard, talk ugly, or I forget the phrase, but so yeah, we were just thinking about that. But marination and digestion was the word that we would have put in the Jamboard.
Okay, thank you for sharing that. I will add that to the Jamboard. And I did hear, I think even earlier when we were talking about like there's not enough time in these sessions to talk about this work and connect. So maybe creating some other spaces to do that. That would be free for people to come in and engage as they want to, just recognizing capacity and time too. So yeah, okay. And then for the group lane that you were in, Jai, were you able to post what you talked about in the chat too? Okay, cool.
Yeah, that was the group we were in.
Okay.
Marination and digestion.
All right. Okay. All right, we'll add those in, and then I think we also just have to find a way to make sure that these group agreements like live on, for them not to be just something that we interact with in the beginning of the fellowship, and not so much as we go through. So like a ways to incorporate some of the ways that we've agreed to be in space together throughout the fellowship. So I just wanted to name that too. Okay, cool. All right. So we're gonna move forward into the last part of our day before closing out with cooperative gallery walk. And I'm just changing all the settings because it's also in Jamboard to editor, so that we don't have the thing again. So I just wanted to introduce you to the cooperative gallery walk. Share screen. Okay. So this is like one of my favorite things to do in North Star, and I feel like and also we've done it too outside of North Star. But it's just a way for us to engage with cooperatives that have either existed in our history or like cooperatives that exist today. And so this tool was created by Danielle in partnership with the Toolbox for Education and Social Action, Tessa. They make some really cool like cooperative education things, including like this game called Coopoly. And I can no longer see the chat, so please, if there's something that comes up, may please like unmute. Yeah, since I am a team of one today. Okay. So yeah, this cooperative gallery walk was really created to like really highlight cooperatives that have existed in our history or exist today. So it goes through a myriad of stories, and I think when we put together like the tiny folder that we handed out, you do all have copies of most of these stories, except for like a couple of video links that we have that may be new. Yeah, so what we're gonna do today is basically you'll be put into 3 groups where you get to engage with the cooperative gallery. So the way it looks is we'll have a story, there might be some questions, there might not be some questions. So just invite you in your groups to you can also screen share if you want, or have a reader or someone to read the story and then interact with the question. Each group will have about 7 stories. You can read all of them if you want. You can read 1 or 2. You can read, you can just, I don't know, browse. Like, really, this is a way for you to engage this in a way that feels good to you. So just imagine, if we're in person, we'd be walking around, but imagine you're at an art gallery and this is what we're doing. So there's a myriad of stories to engage with. Some of the stories that are reminiscent of the things that we talked about this morning, like the Freedom From Cooperative with Fannie Lou Hamer, and so forth, or the Combahee River Colony. So yeah, we'll take some time to go through the stories, to read, interact. I just invite you to kind of like take a dive into these stories, and then also just reflect on like how this cooperative work mirrors the cooperative work that you will be doing. So for this portion, we will have about, I think I said 30 minutes, but we can make it about 40 minutes. Let's just come back at 1:40. We'll come back at 1:40 for a debrief and some closing. So up until 1:40 to read through these. And the directions for all of these stories are in the second slide. So please feel free to engage with in any way that feels good to you. You can read some, read a couple, it's up to you. So once again, using the Post-it notes to kind of interact with this. So you can leave like either you can leave a reaction to the question, you can ask questions, you can leave an emoji, like just recognizing like, you know, how you interact with this. And then we'll come back at 1:40. So disregard the 1:30. We'll come back at 1:40 to debrief. So I'm going to put everyone in groups again and stop sharing. And for this activity, please use the Jamboard that coincides with the group that you're in. So I don't know why group 3 posted twice. So group 1, group 2, group 3. Let's just see what I did. I think I like added in the chat already. Okay, so please use the slide that coincides with whichever group that you're in. And if you're having issues with editing, may someone in a group please like either let me know, like come back to the large group and let me know so I can figure out the tech for that. Cool. Are there any questions before we move forward? No, seeing none. Okay, cool. We'll come back at 1:40. And everyone has screen sharing. I enable screen sharing for multiple folks. So if you do want to like screen share one screen and read off, or screen share for a video, you are able to do that. Okay, breakout rooms.
I do see, it looks like there's 2 group 3s in the chat. 2 of the groups are labeled group 3. It's
So
one thing supposed to be 4 or something.
yeah, it like even with this one, I think because I had it in the chat earlier, and then I repasted it.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah, but here I've just reposted it again.
Thanks.
Okay, cool. And then I'm gonna recreate the groups for 3. Recreate. Okay, cool. And I'll make it round to all the groups too, just to make sure things are working.
Progress.
All right, welcome back. Welcome back. All right. So we'll just have a quick question situation, just noting time. Were there any initial reactions? How was the cooperative gallery walk?
We loved it.
Yeah, I'm glad.
There were so many interesting things that have been done in the past to learn about, like the pig bank. That was so cool.
Yeah,
And yeah,
I'm glad. Yeah, that pig farm, and then like giving the hog to the family, and then once the hog had the baby, then pass it on. I love that too. Any other stories pop out at you? It was dope. I enjoyed it. I'm glad.
Every story jumped out at us. There was one in particular, I think the second one, I'm drawing a blank on who that might have been. But they had a cooperative that had like farming, beauty space, clothing stores, commercial kitchens, so on and so forth. And we were reflecting on like, dang, they're really just doing it all. And like, you can. Our dream is not too big. Okay, sick.
I love that. Did anyone get your mama's house cooperative? I feel like that's one of the examples of like you could literally do anything with Elder Amake having a space for like recognizing like the art of mothering, the intensive labor that goes into mothering, and having a space for folks to like be and create and talk. So yeah. Any other as you were going through this, were you seeing like your own cooperative visions also reflected in the stories?
Definitely. I will say we had the Credjafon co-op, and that was like initially birthed out of a young adults need just for social gathering. And they were doing integration efforts to have space to throw their dances and stuff. But then it also evolved into servicing the economic needs of the community. So I thought that was sweet.
Yeah. I was at a class the other day doing this, and I was like joking to the folks. I was like, because every time I feel like I hear a story, I'm like, yeah, that's my favorite one, and then someone else mentions another one, I'm like, yeah, that's my favorite one. So for sure, like Credger Fun is one of like having folks come and like having the name reflect the first names of each of the members, integration, all the social parties, scholarships, grocery stores, credit unions. Yeah, such a rich history for sure. Anything else? Did anyone have the Black Panther Party one? Yeah. That's another really good one, and all those programs that they had for folks, including like providing transportation for folks to go see their loved ones who are incarcerated, like sickle cell, like testing. Oh my gosh, so much. So one person that we did with a couple years ago was like, yeah, all of these things the Black Panthers did are now live in nonprofits, but they don't do them well. Like it doesn't really reflect the community, and like just like Black Panthers saw what was needed in community, and then they responded. in so many ways. And then their stories, as you all know, were just like told in ways that wasn't reflective of what they did. So Courageous Fund was inspiring because it made me more aware of the necessity of including children and youth in cooperative frameworks. Yes. Are you okay to say more about that, Tennille?
Yeah, I'm a mother. I have 6 children, and I'm mothering actually 3 additional ones in my marriage. And so I'm a mother of 9. And being able to have this kind of language and including children and young people in the building and in the structure of the cooperative, I think is important, especially like for us who our land is in a very rural area, and that can be really, really boring for young people, trying to keep them occupied and invested in the why, and having things that they're interested in be included in that kind of training is really, really valuable. So yeah.
All right, thank you. I think there was some business, but I caught some of that. I'm hoping some folks caught some of that too. But yeah, absolutely. And this reminds me of House of Culture, Voice of Culture. I think one of the things that you all shared when you came to orientation was a closing that you have for folks, and like having the littlest ones to the oldest ones, and just like really seeing, which I really appreciated, Yancy, really seeing like this intergenerational work like reflected in this way, just recognizing that, we all hold this space. It's for the babies, it's for the grandmas, it's for all of us. And so like, how do we work together to like really build that vision and move towards liberation? So I really I remembered that and stored that. So yeah, gracious for what you shared too, Tennille. All right. Are there any final reflections? I just want to like be mindful of time. I know today was a lot. And I also want to make sure that we get out of here on time so folks can go ahead with their day. I'm not seeing anything. Something. This is our. Yeah, absolutely. Yes, absolutely. And please feel free to engage with the cooperative stories. I know I printed out some stuff. I can, in the email that we'll send at some point next week, and I can include some of those video links. Like there were 2 that were new to me. I did include, I don't know if anyone had a chance to interact with the video from the Partnership and Property Commercial Land Trust, but I was just thinking of some of the work that exists in the space, and like PIPCLT, which is led by Dominique Jones and Felicia Perry, about having like accessible and affordable spaces for businesses, artists, etc. I think in the video it was like lawyers, artists, therapists. So like what it means to be able to have access to these commercial spaces to do this work. And so I think I was also thinking of some of the work that you're all doing and seeing how that also comes into play. Because, I think House of Culture mentioned like a brick and mortar, like having physical spaces for us to be in community as we continue this work, as we do this work. But yeah, please continue to engage with these stories. We're adding more. We were supposed to have them today, but this whole week has been wild. Like I wanted to add like 40 Acre Co-op, which is doing some hemp farm. It's like Black agricultural co-op here in Minnesota doing some hemp farming work. There's so much work. There's Root Spring. There's like Cooperative Community of New West Jackson. So as we add some of those stories too and get them more formalized in this format, I'll share those with you. And also some stories from North Stars, like Your Mama's House. She graciously shared her story and allowed us to like have it as part of this, but continuing to reach out to North Stars, current and alumni, to have their stories reflected in this too, as you like really see what the cooperative ecosystem looks like. I'm definitely hearing that today was a lot, but it's worth holding. Thank you all for holding this work and like being present. So I have this from Liana. I will also send it out via email to fill out. But as we close today, I just wanted to leave us with this. So this is this deck. It's called The Harvest of Survival, an affirmation deck inspired by Octavia Butler. And the card that I pulled today, just based on all of our conversation, says this. Let me add this to the chat too. And if people are interested in this, I can order some as a gift. Also, there's another deck by Deja Joelle Deja Joelle had shared with like Black women, Black empowerment stuff that I can also share at another point. But anyway, this deck says, our ancestors drummed us up and then they bent reality to create us. And this is from Octavia's Brood. And I think it's just reminiscent of like all the conversations we've had today, all the things we're holding. It's really heavy, it's really deep. There's a lot of trauma, there's a lot of history, but realizing that we're really our ancestors' dream. Like we're doing the shits, sorry to curse, we're doing the work in so many ways. And so I just wanted to say thank you so much for showing up. Thank you for being in this space. Thank you for the work that you're doing. Thank you for like continuing to reflect the dreams of those that came before us and continuing the dream for those that are coming after us. As Tennille noted, the children are important. So yeah, that's all for today, and we will see you in December. So thank you, and have a wonderful rest of your weekend.
Thank you.
Thanks, y'all. Peace out.
Peace
Thank
out.
you.
Thanks, everyone.
Yeah, thank y'all.
Peace and blessings.
Yes.
Have a good rest of your weekend.
Thank you. You too. Peace and blessings for sure.
Sorry, Nakuli, will we have access to those? I should have asked this in a bigger group, but will we have access to the slides that we just went through?
Yes, just a second.